Thank you for auditing Professor Skye's record review, the only first listen new music review show, usually hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the gym. Out of a need to not spread the COVID-19 virus, I am not at the gym. I don't have the virus yet, I don't think I do, but it's best just to stay isolated. So instead of going to the gym and working out and listening to my tunes, I went on a walk, a very brisk walk in an extremely windy day. And I reviewed a quick album. I'm just getting used to the idea of listening to music and not being at the gym. And I reviewed an album by Chika called Industry Games. I assume it's pronounced Chika. Maybe it's Chika. I don't know. And in order to review it, I want to ask you a question. When I say Instagram influencer album, what pops to your mind? I'm going to use a little bit of my ESP sense and guess what you imagine from this artist. You imagine a young, very thin, white, female, taking lots of pictures of herself, constantly using the word journey, always talking about her journey and her quest, and on a seemingly never-ending search to get to the end of the narcissistic quest for self. And at the end of that quest is usually nothing particularly interesting. Now, if we have all those kind of stereotypes in our head, that's actually not a bad place to start when reviewing this album, which I like. Of course, I only review music I like. What's the point of listening to bad music? But it's funny because when we think of this stereotype of the thin, white, female, obsessed with the quest for self, those are almost all not applying to Chika, except she is a female on the quest for self. And I think it's the fact that this music is so unbelievably, it's very well produced, but lyrically, it basically has one theme. I made it. Can you believe it? I made it. Can you believe it? I used to not have made it, and now I have made it. Except it's all filtered, no pun intended, it's all filtered through the life of an Instagram influencer, the life of an Instagram figure, of a Twitter figure, of a social media star. I would say the word that appears the most on this album is journey. And it's bizarre because I'd never heard of Chika. Have you heard of Chika? If you have heard of Chika, put it in the comments. But the whole album is this great triumph story, and yet I don't quite know who she is. And of course I don't. I'm in my early 40s. I don't even really use Instagram. So there's something interesting that when we think about the Instagram stereotype, talentless, skinny, white female, well, what if it's a talented female who's neither skinny nor white? But what if the thematics are all still the same? And that's what you have with this album. And so it's a very modern, very of its time album for that purpose. It starts off with a track called Intro, and it's all about she directly mentions Instagram, about how internet fame is fleeting, and so she wants to have something stable, like an album. And then she sort of ends it with, I hope this album changes you, or what is it that she says? I hope it makes you think. But still, all the time, all we're really thinking about is her and her success and the fact that she started from somewhere else and she ended up here. What saves it all is that she's not talentless. I do suspect, about halfway through listening to the record, I looked at the credits, and it's all basically produced by this one guy, and he's Norwegian. Now, I don't like stereotypes, but if I ever see that there's a Norwegian or anybody Scandinavian involved in producing like a hip-hop or a pop album, I just kind of have images in my head of some studio guy just being like, she's some kind of up-and-coming Instagram star. I don't know, find someone from Finland or, I don't know, Iceland or who cares? Just get someone from somewhere cold to just make something hot. So I started to maybe feel at times this might have been a sort of fabricated album. But the thing is that it's good. It's good because that production by Lido is mostly quite strong. It's actually very reminiscent of vintage Kanye for much of the album. Kind of like chopped up, unplaceable, pitched soul samples, even a little bit of gospel throughout, maybe a little bit of new Kanye influence. But the thing is, Chika herself is just great. She has a very good flow on tracks like Industry Games, the opening track. She's got a really cool beat. It's like this, like slightly detuned bells, and she has a fast rapping style. Fast rapping styles are usually, not really my thing. Usually, it's more of a they didn't stop to. They were so busy thinking about if they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. But in this case, it actually works really well. And her voice has got this great quality where it's very smooth, but it's not trying to be sultry, you know? And there's like nice production where it kind of goes from like slightly epic sounds to kind of more muted. The next track is Song About You, and that has like singing on it. And she sings, and she's able to sing without over singing, rap without over rapping. Really, again, she's basically only talking about coming from, I mean, this whole song is about meeting Jay-Z and about how she's the next up-and-coming thing. And it's kind of a weird, it's like a weird thing. Because if you've never heard of somebody and all she's doing is just like putting her arm around you being like, can you believe it? Can you believe me? I made it this far? I don't know who you are. I don't know where you made it. But this is a good album. Basically the first like 4 tracks are hit after hit after hit. It's a short album, 20 minutes long. But Balenci's, about Balenciaga shoes, I saw that and I thought, okay, well, here's going to be a boring song about shoes. But it's not really. It's a lot more interesting than that. It's actually the most reflective song. So a lot of the album has been about her, but not really about how she feels, other than triumph. This song is a little bit more about how she has a public-facing attitude that shows, you know, confidence and triumph, and how as a non-traditionally, you know, like her body shape does not fit the standards of beauty, and being a black woman under the age of 25, she's very underrepresented in the corridors of power and in industry and everywhere in the world. So just any amount of success that she has makes her a role model of sorts. And even in her bio and title, she's called a role model. So, you know, she's aware of that, and she sort of puts that up front, but then sort of indicates in the song that underneath it she's doubting herself, or that she doesn't feel great, and that she's inspiring others, but she can't inspire herself. In the off and highly unlikely chance that she's watching this, I would follow that path. That's very interesting, because the life of an influencer, the life of a social media superstar is always false. It has to be false. Even when you're talking about how you're sad, it's false. So kind of getting at that duality, I think, is a rich vein of art to pull out. And I want to talk more about this idea of narcissism too. You know, rappers are always narcissistic. I mean, so most musicians are. Really, what we have is just musicians have to find things to talk about. And I think that's why a lot of music ends up being boring, because they're just trying to find something to say, you know? This is why, you know, Bach didn't write his own lyrics to his cantatas, right? This is why Mozart didn't write his own librettos, right? Like, you just want to make music, you just want to sing, you just want to rap. So, you know, that great Griselda album, they rap about crack. But they could be rapping about Jesus or about French cheeses, you know? I mean, they could be rapping about anything. It's just a vehicle for their talent. So, I don't know. As much as I'm kind of dumping on this record for being a sort of narcissistic album, I'm not sure it really is as much as I'm saying. The track Designer has this cool kind of pitched, chopped up voice. I think she pitches her voice down to sound like another rapper, to the point where I don't know if there's a male rapper on this song or not. That actually has the best production on the record. I'm going to play it for you right now. It's a little bit after the lower voice comes in, and maybe it's just because it's a female rapper from the South. I'm constantly thinking of Missy Elliott, and she doesn't rap like Missy Elliott, but the production on here sounds a little bit Timbaland in the sort of way it's rhythmically interesting in a way that like really grabs you. So I'm gonna play that for 13 seconds right now.
Baby, humbly admitted I'm a sinner, baby. I made mistakes, but I own up to that. And I'm on all the time when I'm in private, I don't have to act. But you like to reverse and flip that script like fucking acrobats. Then
the album, it takes a little bit of a plunge. On My Way. It's kind of sort of love song. It's piano, it's singing. I don't know. And then it ends with a song called Crown. Boy, people love singing about crowns. You know crowns are bad, right? Kings and queens don't do anything. They didn't do anything to earn it. Whoever you are, Chika, you've done way more than the Queen of England ever did to get where she is. You're way more admirable than her. Hell, the other Instagram people I was talking about have done more than the Queen of England. What's up with the crown? Anyways, I mean, it's cool. It's got that kind of Kanye. It's a very kind of Kanye. It reminds me of, you know, how Kanye used to have one track every album that was the "Hey, look, we made it," super upbeat, chopped up songs. That's kind of how this sounds, except with her singing. So, here's my review. I'm probably going to call this Instagram the album because it really, really feels like this could not have been made at any other time than right now. The references to Twitter and Instagram are just everywhere. And she's taking us to the end of her journey. And I get the sense that where she is now is a lot more interesting than however she got here. According to her own music, Diddy told Jay-Z that she's the best of the new rappers. I could see her getting big. I could see her becoming emblematic, this kind of role model, this non-traditionally beautiful Southern singer, rapper. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe not. But until next time, when I will go on another walk and hopefully stay healthy, there's the camera.